Well, hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm at my local where we're going to blast down one of the red descents, which is pretty good. I'm up here with my mate Ads, who's out in the distance there, and the purpose of this kind of tutorial really is to show you how to piece together a cinematic edit. I've been struggling with that word today, and the effort it takes really to put one together. So I've got my DSLR on a stand there, which is all pretty expensive equipment, but just bear in mind you can do this with a mobile phone, you can do it with a GoPro, you can have a really cheap tripod. None of that stuff makes any odds, but the way of doing it is exactly the same. Only thing to note is I've got a decent lens on there. It gives me a bit of a wider field of vision so that I can capture everything, but it gives me a sort of shallow depth of field as well when I zoom into something, so I can capture something more specific, which is fantastic. But let's just get to it. I've set this up and we're going to show you sort of how we do it as we go down. Stay tuned to the very end, you'll get to see the final production of it, and hopefully you like it. It gives you something to do on your trails. So that's the first scene done. Got the camera, and this is where the time consuming bit comes in, because you've got to walk it down. And what I'd suggest is you try and get sections of trail that are more exciting than others. The lower it down, the more dramatic it looks. You know, is there a feature you can hit, something like that? Because we've got the autumn leaves just all over the floor at the moment, that makes for some pretty good skids for kids, I know, but can't help it. So I've got my next location. You don't want to do it so that it's all too close to each other, because you'll just be there all day doing it. But I've got a bit here where we can get some turns in. We're just eyeing it up. It is quiet up here, so that's why we're sort of standing in the track right now. And we're going to come blasting down this bit, see how that looks. So that's another section done there, but we had sort of coming towards it and then away from. And just cautious, there are people coming down the trail now, so just keeping the bikes off the track. And then you can sort of set it up where you want from then, so you can stagger it really close or actually make it a bit further away. But we're probably going to pick out some of the more beneficial features here, place the camera there so it just looks a little bit more sort of cinematic as we go through. And yeah, let's see how that goes. Of course, you'll probably notice it's taking my breath away a bit doing all this. So the camera, just get a little bit lower, set down on one of the berms here, and then it flows all the way through. And I've sort of focused it on that tree there, and then that way we can ride all the way through, set up the camera a little bit further next time, and that's kind of how you get the sort of composition and framing working properly, I suppose. But yeah, looking good there. You don't have to start too far. It's not all about going fast, it's about looking good. So you know, let's go back up there and do it again. Now on this double, which is bigger than it will look on the GoPro, rollable, but I want to jump it. I'm going to place the camera so that you get to see me jumping into it, but then I'm also going to place it on the other side so you get a double whammy of the same jump, but two different viewing angles. And for features like this, it can look pretty good. Making our way down the trail quite well at the moment, so I've set it up at sort of the top entry into the berm, and then because it's that wide angled lens, it just allows me to come all the way through to the exit, and we'll capture sort of that moment of entry all the way around, looking good, riding hot into the next section of trail. So just got to think about where you place it, because you don't want to spend any longer than you need to do this, because like I say, by the time you go backwards and forwards, you put an extra couple of miles of sort of walking and the riding on top. So yeah, it's enjoyable, but just think about how you're going to do it. So set the camera up, and if you're going to do this, just make sure that it's not in the way of anybody else that might come down. And that's the berm that we just came round at the top there. Going to do that again so that you get to see the exit and piece that sort of section together so it looks pretty sweet coming through. Because after that, probably turn the camera around and then just have us sort of going away into the distance there, because there's a couple of tiny tables there. It's not too much you can do with them, so it'll be good to get it in footage, but you don't need to sort of bust a ball to try and get them all in, because it's a bit of a waste of time. So that's those little tables done. Position the camera. This is like switchback central now, so we're going to come out of this one, should look quite nice, and then it goes switchbacks all the way down. So we're not going to film every switchback because that'll get a little bit boring to watch, but there are certain switchbacks where you can take a higher line, a lower line, and make it a little bit more featuresque rather than just sort of going into it and that's pretty much you done. So we've got to get all the way down the bottom there. I'll piece this together in a wanna so that you can get to sort of see it, and yeah, it will look good. We've got this switchback here. There's nothing exciting about it, but I just want to show you that you don't need the tripod just to capture all the footage. There's no handheld or inbuilt stabilization, which makes it a little bit awkward with a DSLR compared to like the modern phones and GoPros. But you can make that footage as stable as it can be. And I'm just going to sort of pan around and give you the effect of ads going through it rather than sort of one position, cutting through that and then having to reposition to come out. And it looks quite smooth. So ads only, this is what it looks like. Well, that's it complete. You are now going to get to see the final production as we come through the trail. So with a bit of color grading that I do sort of post-production and giving it that cinematic look, this is exactly what it looks like. So I hope you enjoyed that, because that's something for me to certainly cherish, and that's something I did for ads as well. So he's got that for as long as he wants to look back at it, and it's just something that you can remind yourself that, wow, that looked good, I did that, and it's always impressive. If you like what you've seen, I hope it's been helpful more than anything. Give it a thumbs up, throw your comments in down below, and of course what would be even better is if you subscribe. So click the logo down there, and until then, I'll see you for the next one.